All right. Hello, everybody. Don here. We're going to get things started. I see people are still filing in, but it's already 11 o'clock my time, so I'm going to get things rolling. Lots of people in here ready, and I want to be respectful of your time. So, all right. Welcome to our February 2018 webinar. We've got a lot of cool stuff to show you today. I'm excited about. And Paul, aloha from Waikiki. Now I'm jealous. That's not fair. So yeah, hello everybody. I love all the comments coming in. I appreciate that. Yeah, so let's get things rolling here. All right. So first thing, just want to let you know the whole team's here today, or our whole customer facing team. And you might notice a couple of new faces. So
John,
Chris
you need to turn on presenter mode. We're not seeing the faces.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Let me start that over. I was all worried about making sure the recording was on, and then I didn't present my screen. So thanks for catching that, Mike. All right, so welcome everybody. Yeah, so I just wanted to point out a couple new faces to our customer-facing team that would normally be on here. So Chris Walker, he joined us back in October. So many of you have probably already bumped into Chris. He's our agency sales exec. He came to us he used to actually be a reseller of Get 5 Stars, and that's how we got to know him. And now he's on. I'm really excited that he's on board, and he's up to speed really quickly. So I know he's interfaced with a lot of our resellers and talked with you guys, and he's kind of been in in those shoes, and so he understands that. So welcome, Chris. Glad to have you on the team. Also new just in February is Jeff Wagner, and Jeff is our Chief Experience Officer. He's got lots of great experience. He's worked with Aaron for years. Really super guy who's going to help us. As you know, we're on a mission to just continue to improve and raise the bar on our user experience and design. And that's what Jeff is bringing. He's owning that for us, and he's got a lot of great experience to bring to bear on that for us. So I'm very excited to have Jeff on board as well. So I just want to let you know about our growing team. All right, so for today, what we want to talk about is the new review widget. We've been in beta, and we are ready to go live. So we're gonna, I think it's midnight on Wednesday, we're gonna go live with the review widget. And thank you to all the beta testers. We've had a lot of great support from you guys and trying this out, and a lot of great feedback. And we have polished this and we're ready to go with it. So I want to show you that today, show you in detail. I also wanted to give you an update on Google Q&A. We've had some great uptake there. If you haven't taken a look at this yet, I just wanted to point it out about what's going on with Google Q&A, and then a bunch of other improvements we've done in the past weeks. I wanted to make sure to point out, just in case, I hear a lot of times we'll hear from people who, maybe are asking for something and don't realize that we have this feature already. So, in these webinars, I always like to make sure to try to point out some of the new features that have been coming down the pipe, because we're always adding them. Pretty much every week we're adding new stuff. And then we'll have time for Q&A. And as always, just ask your questions as we go along too, and we'll watch for them. Got the whole team here. So Chris's comment was step 1, plug the computer in. Mark's asking, thanks Chris. Mark was asking, is there web-based audio sound right now? I don't hear anything. I don't know if one of you guys can follow up with Mark. Just to double check, you can hear me, right? Everybody can hear me? Mike, Aaron?
Yep. Oh.
Perfect.
I can hear you just fine.
Perfect, thank you. All right, cool. So let's talk about the new review widget. So first of all, we're changing the name. It used to be called the testimonial widget. We're changing the name to review widget. And the reason for that is, we're going to talk about it in a minute, we're changing some of the terminology a little bit, because we've, in the past, had a little problems, what is a testimonial, what is a review? We've got some new language that we've been using. You may have noticed it, but I wanted to call that out today. And when we ship the new widget, when we turn this on live, you'll see that it won't be called the testimonials widget anymore. It'll be called the review widget, because now it includes options to display your third-party reviews within the widget. So we had a lot of you ask for, hey, great, I'm getting a lot of great feedback and publishing that to my website, but I would love to be able to show my Google reviews or my Facebook reviews or whatever on my website. as well. And so now in the new widget, you can do that. You can actually control which third-party review sites are included. You can make it a mix of first-party and third-party reviews. You can control what ratings are included. There are new width controls, which is another thing that many of you asked for, is you want to control over the width of the widget so that you can put it in different spots on your website. And then also choosing the feedback button color. So got all of that in there. And what I wanted to do is just call out kind of how we're talking about these now, because now we have a widget where you can capture and put testimonials in there. You can put your third-party reviews. So the terminology we're using now to talk about this is first-party reviews and third-party reviews. So first-party reviews are those reviews that are captured directly from your customers via Get 5 stars in the feedback process in the comments box. We called those testimonials before, but really they're reviews, right? These are reviews that are, can show up on your website. They're marked up with rich snippets review formatting, and they can show up with stars in the Google results. The importance of these is that customers are a lot more likely to leave you feedback directly than on an online review site. That's just the facts. I mean, based on surveys that have been done that say, hey, a lot of times people aren't willing to go to Google or Facebook and leave you an online review, but they have something they want to tell you, and they're a lot more likely to give you that feedback directly. So you want to make sure that's available. The other is that this content can be leveraged on your website using the review widget to show rich snippets in the Google search results. And most of you are probably already doing that because there's a huge benefit to it, right? Now, third-party reviews, these are reviews on online sites like Google and Facebook and TripAdvisor and others, right? And these are also really important. It's important to know which ones of these sites show up in the Google Knowledge Panel for you. And it also, these are great indicators of trust. So we all know what third-party reviews are. Just trying to make a distinction now. When you see in our product, and as we talk about this, we've found this is just a lot easier, more direct way for people to understand the difference of the reviews that they're collecting and the mix of the types of reviews they're collecting. All right, so the new review widget setting page, once we turn this on, so midnight Wednesday, so Thursday when you log in, you'll see a new settings panel for the review
And
widget.
I think I'm pretty sure it's going to be available tomorrow. So
tomorrow, okay.
Yes. So 12 a.m. Wednesday is
Got it. Okay.
during the day Wednesday.
Beautiful. All right.
12 a.m. Wednesday in some time zone, someplace.
Exactly.
While most of you sleep, the widget elves will come and drop it in the product.
And then you will see this new settings page, which is a nice upgrade in design and display of how it's displayed, and also just how you change the settings. And I'll show you this in real time here. So the new settings screen gives you lots of different options where you can go in and say, I want to show first-party reviews only, or like currently it just shows first-party reviews. But in the future, when this ships, you'll be able to choose between first-party reviews, first and third-party, or just third-party reviews. And I'll show you what those settings look like here in just a minute. And what I wanted to do is just kind of show you these three modes, and then we'll jump in and I'll give you a demo. So really, the three options for the widget now are to show first party only. That's currently what the widget shows today as a testimonials widget, right? So these are testimonials marked up with review schema. It can lead to stars in the Google search results. This is also unique user-generated content for your website. So many of you are taking advantage of this today. Now, in the future, you're going to be able to choose a couple of different options. You can say, well, I want to show first and third party reviews. So this will show all your reviews, your first party reviews mixed in with your third-party reviews from the sites that you choose. So Google and Facebook or whatever the review sites that you're monitoring, you can put them in there. Only the first-party reviews are marked up with a schema though, and this is important. So Google's guidelines are saying, hey, you don't want to mark up reviews from Google or Facebook and put them on your website and mark them up with review schema because they're already marked up somewhere else as original content. You're not supposed to do that. So our widget is smart, and it says, hey, we're going to mark up the first party reviews, and at the top, the totals are only going to show the totals for the first party reviews, although the third party reviews will be displayed in there mixed in with the first party reviews. So it's just important. I wanted to make sure everyone understands that, and I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. Or you can choose third party only. So this is to display your Google reviews, your Facebook reviews, whatever on your website. I know many people asked, hey, when I'm just getting started, I don't have a lot of first-party feedback yet or testimonials, but I've got some reviews on Google or on Facebook or on yp.com or whatever, and I want to be able to show those on the website. I want people to be able to socially share them as well. And so now you can show this on your website. It's important to note, though, these do not include the schema markup for the same reason we talked about a minute ago, right? And the review total and rating averages are from the third-party reviews only in this case. So let's jump in there and look around. And just find the right window here. Okay, so how do you get there? Excuse me one second here. I've got to find my mouse. Is really giving me trouble. Okay, so what I've done is I'm in my account, and I went to, you're going to see in the settings menu, it's now called the review widget instead of the testimonials widget. And when you go there, it takes you to this screen, and there are a few different sections of the screen I just want to kind of go over. One is the general review widget. This is your main widget where you would put on your testimonials and review page. This is all of the first party and third party reviews captured. On the right hand side is the review badge, and many of you are using that to maybe display a summary badge on your home page or on some other area of the site. And then the tag review widgets that many of you are using to show specific reviews, maybe for a specific location or a specific product or a specific staff member on its own page. So that's all still available here. But what we're going to talk about now is this general review widget and show how you can modify it. So I'm going to go into settings, which is the button right here. And here are the options that we're talking about, right? So I have the ability here to choose first and third party, or only first party or only third party. And that's kind of the slide I was just showing you, right? Is kind of just, I was trying to describe those options. And then it automatically shows the sites that I can just say, well, I only want to show Google, or I want to show both Google and Facebook or whatever. Then I say, automatically display first party reviews above this score, automatically display third party reviews above this score. You can choose the score, which ones you want to feature on your website. And then you can choose how many reviews to show per page before it paginates them. So kind of similar to before. The widget placement, this is the URL of your page on your website where you're displaying this. And that's important because if you're using the review badge, it needs a place to link to, right? So we had that in the previous widget. I'm just kind of showing you where that lives now in the new settings screen. All right, and then you can change the anchor text as well to that link. So this again was in the previous iteration, just in a different spot now. Okay, so that's the left-hand side, all the options you can change. On the right-hand side, you're going to want to choose the new all-inclusive theme. We had some different themes before for backward compatibility mainly, but now with the new widget, we're just basically having one theme because all the options you can change here in the settings screen. You could just do no styles and display data only. We also still support the ability for you to customize the widget with CSS. And so I know many of you have done that, and the instructions for the selectors and everything are here, but we still support that if you wanted to. Now, a new thing in this widget is the ability to change the width, and I can either set it as a % or as pixels, and I can change that right here. Defaults to 750, but you can change that to whatever you want. That was a huge request from many of you for a while, and so I'm excited to say that we have that now. And you can also choose whether you want to center or left or right justify it. The options for displaying the feedback button, this was, again, in the existing widget, you can turn that on or off. You can choose the feedback button color, the text color. Do I want to show the social sharing buttons, links to review sites? Here's the social sharing image, the schema image. Those are things that we had before, but just quickly, the social sharing image is the image that we try to use when you're sharing, if you've turned sharing on and someone's trying to share a review on a social media site. We're specifying this is the image to use when you share. And then the schema image is used for the schema markup. It's not really displayed anywhere, but the schema markup requires an image, and so we've got that there. You can change it if you want, but it's just important to have that image in for proper schema compliance.
So there's two questions, Don.
Okay.
Question one is, does third-party reviews above 3 actually mean including 3, or is it 4 and above? In other words, it says above 3.5 or.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's
It does include it.
Yeah, I think it's 3 and above,
Yeah.
so we can change the text there. That's a really good catch.
Okay. And the other question is, what happens if there is a first-party review and a third-party review that are exactly the same because somebody copied and pasted? So,
Yeah, so
my suggestion to that is that you'd go into the dashboard of Get 5 Stars and choose to turn it off if you want it, right?
Yeah, you still have the availability to manage first-party reviews on each individual review basis. So you can go shut off that first-party review and display the third one if you want. You can obviously leave the two. There might be, another piece of feedback in between those, but you can do that. And then down the road, not part of this initial release, right? For third-party reviews right now, we just have a rating approval of a certain rating and above. But down the line, we will be adding individual approval of third-party reviews as well.
Yep. So good questions. Thanks, guys, for those. So let's just take a look. I'm going to set this to first party. We've got a nice little preview when you go back to the settings page. So I can click preview and see what's it going to look like. Here's my button with the button color and the text color. Here are my first party reviews because I just set it to first party. This is kind of how the widget works today. Social sharing's turned on, right? So we have all these features. We've also included, here's the pagination, and we've included the sorting, and we've changed, the settings says, hey, please put my review links at the bottom. So that's all here. And that's a nice little preview so I can see what that widget's going to look like. So now if I go in and I change it and say, I want to show first and third party, let's just preview that. Now you're going to see, here's a first party review, right? Here's a review from Facebook. Here's another review from Facebook. Here's one from Google. And so now mixed in with my first party reviews, I have my Facebook and my Google reviews. Now, the interesting thing to point out is that this overall rating and the totals here is only representing your first party reviews, okay? And that's because this is important for schema. And the Facebook and Google reviews are not being marked up with the scheme.org formatting. So the totals that we're displaying here are for first party reviews only. Now, the other thing to show that's kind of interesting is that your viewers can say, well, look, I just want to see the Google reviews. Like, let me just see those. Or they can say, I just want to see the Facebook reviews. So they can slice and dice in that way, or show me all of them. So that gives them the ability to kind of look through the reviews. All right, so that's the widget preview. Now let me go back to the settings again and change it to third party only, which is the last option. And then we'll go back to the widget page and preview this. And now you're going to see that it's only showing the third party reviews. And the overall rating at the top here and the numbers are for third party reviews only, right? Because we're not showing any of the marked up first party reviews here. So just wanted to kind of explain the totals and how that's just, changing on the top depending on what we're displaying, and make sure there are no questions about that, because it's just something I don't want people to get confused about. Similar to before, you can sort and just show the Google ones or just show the Facebook or show all of them. And then just really quickly, I wanted to, because I feel like I kind of moved fast through it, all the settings here on the left we talked about, we just changed those. The design options, okay, this is the width, justification. Here's that feedback button, right? So if I turn that off and go back, you'll notice in the preview that the feedback button that was up here is no longer there. So those are the settings I'm talking about. What's nice in this, I like the fact that you can quickly preview and get it to look exactly how you want. So yeah, and then just to give you an idea, this is what the widget looks like on just a plain old HTML page. The preview looks exactly like the preview, but in your website, you need to make sure that when you're putting it on your website, you check it, of course, because you just don't know with the existing CSS that's on the page. You want to make sure everything's aligned and looking the way that you want it to.
Couple questions, Don. Paul on this design options was curious if there's a recommended size for the social share image.
You know, that is good. There is, and that's something I'm noticing right now that we had a call out for in the previous screen that's not here. So we're going to need to add that. And I don't remember it off the top of my head.
It was a great question from Scott Harris, which I think the answer to is no, but I'll ask it. Can you set an icon for the first party reviews to complement the Google and Facebook icon?
Yeah, that is a good question. We thought about that. We thought about making it the Get 5 Stars logo, and then we thought, well, you know, for people who are doing white label, we don't want to do that. So no, you can't right now, but we're thinking about it.
And it's much more complicated than it seems. Which third-party platforms can be selected? Is it only Google and Facebook? That came in from Mark Pollock.
Oh no, it's any of them that you're monitoring.
Except?
Yeah, except Yelp. You can't display Yelp reviews.
Yeah, so Mark, we offer roughly 30 review sites for monitoring now. So if you haven't taken a look at that for a while, it's much more expanded with what you can offer. And so within our basic plan, you get 5 sites you can monitor, and our pro plans, you can monitor up to 10 sites. So any of the sites you monitor, because you're pulling it then into the platform, you can then display them in the third-party display.
And Richard asked, can that title be changed, overwritten in the widget? Not sure which title we're referring to, Richard. Go to the preview.
I'm guessing he's referring to the total number of the overall rating. So that cannot be. It is structured to help inform Google for the review schema and rich snippet display. So that cannot be edited.
Kevin Melton asks, is there a way to move your third-party review call to actions above the actual reviews? The call to action, the feedback, or the...
No, so I think he means these guys at the bottom here. Yeah, there's not.
There isn't, but if you wanted to, Kevin, each of your site, you can put people into the review process with like your short link. So you could create one directly into your process, just as the leave us feedback button does. So those are kind of your 2 routes. You can also, sniff out those links yourself and be able to post direct links that way as well.
Yeah, I was going to say what a lot of people do is they just put this widget on an existing page on their site. Like this doesn't have to be the only thing on the page. So a lot of people will put something at the top, and it could be just these links. Like you could just literally right click and copy that link address, right? You could copy these link addresses and you could put that on your on the page above the widget if you wanted to. So a lot of people kind of customize that page in different ways.
And Andrew Hurl, hi Andrew, how are you doing? Asks, did you need to use the new code for these changes to take effect? In other words, are you asking whether we need to use the JavaScript or the PHP code, Andrew, or are you asking if you need to replace the JavaScript code with this code? Well, answer both of those, Don, if you would.
Yeah, so just a brief history of the testimonials widget. When it was first released, it would only work on PHP sites because it required some PHP code on the back end. So WordPress sites and other PHP sites. Now the code would actually work. The code would work on sites, but it would only inject the schema markup on PHP sites. Last year, we improved the widget. We did a whole bunch of testing, and we converted it to 100% JavaScript so that our widget can work on any website. And we improved the speed dramatically. Mike, do you remember when we released that? It was the fall of last year. We released it, early fall, I think.
Sometime before my 67th birthday, but I can't remember.
So to answer your question, if you're using the old PHP widget, then yes, you need to replace the code with this. If you're using our JavaScript widget, then this would be automatic. Am I correct in saying that, you guys? I think this is automatic if you're using the existing JavaScript widget.
Yes.
So You just need to figure out if you're on the old widget, like the PHP one, then yeah, you need to replace it. Otherwise, if you're using if you converted to our JavaScript widget in the fall, you'll be good here.
So Chris S. asks, can they click on a third-party review and take them to the third-party review site? Is it linked back to the, is there a link in there?
Yep, they are not clickable. They're just for display on the site.
Yep.
And then Todd S. noted that we've had several requests similar to Kevin Melton's from clients to move the call to action to the top.
Okay. You know, I haven't heard that one before. I mean, I understand why you want it. I just hadn't heard that because most people are, the primary reason for the widget is to display, you know, this stuff. And then this is almost like a secondary thing, but I can see why you'd want to do it. I mean, we'll look at it. I'm wondering if it would be better just to give you a chunk of code just for this section. I don't know. We'll have to think about that. Good feedback. Thanks.
And that's all the questions for now, Don.
Okay, good. Good. So the other thing I just want to point out, if you're not using the review badge, the badge is something that you can put, and we actually want to explain one thing in case you're not using this, just to see. I'm going to go back to the settings here. And if you remember, I was talking about earlier this link, the widget placement link. So this, you're supposed to in here put in a link to where you've installed the widget on your website. That's what this is. So if you've got a page on your website that's /reviews or /testimonials, and that's where you dropped our widget, that's the URL you'd put in here and click activate. And that allows our badge to be able to link to it. Now, in the anchor text is determined here. So the hypertext link text, that's what this is. Now I'm going to go drop out of here and look at the badge and show you what I'm talking about. So this is the hyperlink, and that's the text that you have control over what you want it to say. And then that, if I click on it, would take me to your review page where the widget's installed. And so what a lot of people do is they install this badge on their home page somewhere or some other page of the website, and this summary badge, and then it can click through and link to the actual review page on your website. So I just wanted to point that out. That the badge was there before, but everything's been kind of moved around. So I wanted to make it a point. You can grab the embed code from here. If you're using the WordPress plugin, you can download that from here. So all that stuff's still there. And then the tag widgets are here as well. So you can still add more tag widgets and do all that stuff. Okay. And the widget width is now, it now applies to these tag widgets as well. Because, you know, once again, the whole widget width stuff was a big request by probably all of you. I've been asking for that one.
And so, I suppose it doesn't mean, though, that your CSS can't overwrite our width, or can it? I mean, in other words, can there be a conflict between our width and...
Well, if you're doing that, then I would use the percentage here, and I would just set it as a % and put it inside of a container that you have, and then that way it would just flow to the size of the container. I think that's the way I would do it. You could probably override, because style sheets are cascading. You could probably override, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would just use the percentage, say 50% or whatever, and then, or 100% of a container, and then you drop it into a container, you know, that's on your site somewhere.
And there is a question about the reviews from the third party, whether it shows full or just a snippet. In other words, there's the content of a Google review there incomplete.
Yep, it shows the full review. We don't do any cutoff. So if it's 1,000 characters, you're getting them all.
And Todd asks, what is a tag widget?
Okay. Yeah, so a tag widget.
Todd, we're glad you asked.
Yes, thank you for asking that question. I didn't, I should have dove into that. So the idea is that this widget we've been talking about, let's just talk about first party reviews for a moment. That would include all of the reviews that you've collected, right? And all the reviews would be shown on here. All of them that you've turned on would be showing here. Now, one of the options that we've had for a while in our widget is this tag review widget, and it's still here. And this allows me to create a widget for specific, it allows me to tag testimonials. So in this case, we've tagged some of them as service and some as sales. So imagine this is an auto shop that sells cars, but then they also have a service department. And they want to have a special page on their website for sales and only show only show reviews that are related to sales there. And then they want to have another page on their website for service and only show reviews that are related to service there. So what they did is created 2 tag review widgets. And so you could still have your all up review widget, but then you can have special pages that only show, specific reviews. And you can, when you add this, you basically can put a name, you can add tags, and here are all the different tags. You can see we've added a bunch of, strange ones, but sales and service. And then you can set the width, and then boom, you add the widget. And now I go grab this widget code, and this is what I would put onto my service page. And then I would go grab this code and I'd put it on my sales page. And now I've got these pages that are getting first party reviews and putting them specifically on pages on my site that are related to those reviews. Now these don't include the third party reviews because we don't know where a third party review was, what it was referring to. So we're only talking about the first party reviews here. But this was a big request for a long time, and a lot of people are using this to great effect to basically, have specific pages for certain types of reviews on their site.
Yeah. Donna, maybe jump into a customer profile just to show where you apply the tag. Like you're able to custom say what you want that tag to be, and you do it when you're inside of each customer's profile specific to each piece of feedback.
And while Don's doing that quick search, I just want to add to this question from Adam C. Does embedding the review widget on a website homepage hurt the chances of Google showing stars in search results? So I come from the sort of thinking that you never want to poke the bear. I've learned that poking the bear is going to get you in trouble for the most part, or at least make you unpopular. Right now, Google typically won't show review stars for your homepage. That says to me that they don't really want them there. I would also suggest that you use some amount of discretion in putting review widgets around your site. I think that again, Google is handing you a powerful tool. I would suggest not abusing it. I think we've seen over the past couple of weeks that fewer are showing than before. So I think you want to put them on your most important pages and work towards building prominence of those pages. But don't expect Google to show them on every page, and don't expect them to show them on homepage. Now, in the case of a multi-location that has location landing page, they're fine on those location landing pages. But I would say in a single location to not put them on the homepage and to limit their distribution around the site to 5, 7 most important pages. I'm sorry, Don, go ahead.
I mean, you'd put the badge on the homepage, right, Mike? And then the main reviews themselves.
I wouldn't. I mean, the fact that Google doesn't show it, won't typically show it, says to me that, well, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it there. They're just not going to show it. I don't think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that was the purpose of the badge, is just to say, hey, we've got we're sharing our feedback and reviews. Here's where they are. And you click through, and then the reviews aren't listed on the homepage, just the badge, but.
Right. But you could also do that with a solid design and link and not use that on it. Right. So either way,
so the preference would be to do it just with a link of your own, but then you could show the badge on all kinds of other pages. But you mean, ideally don't put it on the homepage. It's probably not going to hurt you, but to follow Mike's "don't poke the bear" advice, maybe you don't put the badge on the homepage. That's what you're saying, Mike?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We don't know, but better safe than sorry, as we've learned.
Yep. Okay, so I just went into the customer dashboard, opened up some feedback here, and I can see this was an oil change. So here's how I would apply a tag. I'd go in here and start typing service, and as soon as I start typing, it narrows down the results, and I say, oh good, I have a service tag. So now I've added a service tag to this first party review, and now that's going to show up in the tag widget for service. So it's pretty simple. All I need to do is go add the tags, and boom. It's good. I'm good to go. So
and then Todd, I both answered your question and I posted in the chat the link to our blog post where when we released the tag widget, just an overview of it to what Don's talking about.
Don, if you want to show it in action, go to Barbara Oliver's her engagement gallery. It's on her engagement gallery page. And the third-party reviews won't show the owner's response. This is Kelly's question. So will third-party reviews show the owner's company's response? The answer to that is no. There's another question. He plans on making where a reviewer can select the service tech /photo. I assume you, so I guess I'll let you answer that, Aaron. I mean, in other words, where you'd be able to sort of automatically give the user a choice to select who is being reviewed or something.
Yeah, so on the request part is as far as having a piece of metadata to that specific person that you're choosing. So who did they work with or what product they bought, things like that. Something that we've had in discussion before, but it's not on our near-term roadmap, but it's definitely in our collection of ideas and requests that we go over every time we go into a new cycle of working on new features and new improvements. So
although you can internally identify it with a job ID, right? In other words, or something like a job ID. In other words, you could know that job ID 7 is Joe the electrician and job ID 8 is Mary the technician.
But it has to be, that has to be given by the business. It can't be initiated by the consumer, which is what Todd was asking about. But we do have it where if you already know that in your system, you can feed that along in the customer upload. In the manual add, you can add a custom job ID. So you can use an ID for a staff member, an invoice number, a service type, whatever you want to do. You can use it for segmentation ahead of
and in the API too. We do it, yeah.
And you could also use tags the same way. And so Todd, one more question. When you say badge, is that the sidebar widget? Well, typically people use it in the sidebar, but it doesn't have to be used in the sidebar. It could be used anywhere. So badge, essentially aggregate review badge. So it's just doesn't have any content with it. Whereas the general review widget and the tag review widget have content with it.
Great. Okay, good questions. Thanks, guys. All right, so we just talked about the difference. Hopefully, you guys, hopefully you'll want to try this out, right? Try the first and third party reviews. You can slice and dice this how you want. You can change when you change the setting. Your widget will automatically be updated. You don't ever have to reinstall the widget to change any of that stuff, which is nice. So just remember, first party reviews, that means the testimonials you're collecting directly from us. First and third party is both those plus the online reviews. All right, so we did the demo. Another thing I just wanted to call out, I don't know how many of you have been playing around with the Google Q&A monitoring or watching the Google Q&A for your clients or for your business and how that's showing up. But Mike put together a plan. So, we do the monitoring. Mike's put together a plan of like, what should you do about Google Q&A? I don't know, Mike, do you want to just set it up real quick what Google Q&A is, just in case people don't know, if there's anybody who hasn't really encountered it yet?
Sorry, I had to unmute. So Google Q&A is a crowdsourced social conversation around specific locations, similar to Yelp or TripAdvisor feature. The difference is that Google has tremendous scale. And so obviously your listing is seen more often. And more importantly, it gets answers from local guides because Google is actively soliciting answers from their 50 million local guides. So as crowdsourced information, it can easily take a turn south on you. Go in directions you didn't anticipate because users are kind of funny that way. And we think that as such, it can be both a brand enhancer, but it could also be a brand damager. And we think since it shows on your knowledge panel, front and center, you need to be aware of it and engage with it. It has a thumbs up system. So any question that is voted up can appear on your knowledge panel. Question with the most votes is the one that will show. Any question that has answers that have been thumbed up, that will show an answer. And the answers to that question with the most votes is the one that will show. So you could, could be very deleterious to the well-being and could queer the deal. I mean, a lot of users come to Google, make the decision right then and there based on an overall impression of your business. This could be one of those things that causes what psychologists refer to as cognitive dissonance, the struggle between what they want to believe and what they're seeing with their eyes, and it could cause the consumer not to call. So.
And I did put in the chat a link to, Mike did a great 3-part series that helps introduce you to the feature, all the components, some studies we did. We studied over 1,700 locations and how Google Q&A was impacting them and the types of questions. And then the third part is kind of how to manage it, the things you should be doing, and an introduction to our monitoring feature within our service that's available on our Pro plans and up. So that link to that first post with links that link out to the others is available in the chat if you want to go back and read that 3-part series. It's super helpful.
So, Don, are you there? I
Yep.
don't really know what else is. So,
No, I was on mute, just like you were.
Okay. Good. Got it.
Yep. So so Mike put together, we talked about this at last month's webinar, and that's why we're not doing a whole thing on it. I just wanted to quickly summarize for those of you who haven't played with it yet, the idea, what to do about Google Q&A, plan for it, make sure you post your own questions, monitor, respond, and report. And so we help you do that. You want to gather up real questions from your, what do you think your customers are really asking? Make sure you write those and put them on your knowledge panel. Then monitor. Make sure that when people are posting things there, right? There's a lot of businesses aren't even aware of Google Q&A. So make sure you understand that. Our tool helps you monitor the questions. We also allow you to manage those questions. So the status column over here, I can say, oh yeah, this one has been responded to, or this one's been reported, but I have that ability to keep track of what's going on, either from my location or from multiple locations, by the way. And then here's an example of a question and an answer that we can say Q&A, answer your own questions, right? Answer other people's questions. Be the authoritative answer. You want to upvote the good answers because those are the ones that are going to stick when only 1 or 2 can be displayed. So make sure you go out there. We're just recommending that every business take their top 3 questions from customers and put them out there and answer them, right, in the customer's voice. And then for those questions that show up that are violating terms of the guidelines, like I guess it's their terms of service, then report them. And you can be, these are things that are deliberately fake, they're off topic, they have defamatory language, personal attacks. Those you can basically report and Google will take them down. So that's another reason you should be monitoring these, because a lot of times, and you'll see this in Mike's blog post, he does a breakdown of like what industries get the most questions and what is the percentage of the things that are just kind of legitimate questions versus just bogus stuff that shouldn't even be on there. And you want to make sure to keep it clean, so to speak. And
just a note on that, in our system, when we identify what you've done, you can tag a particular Q&A in our dashboard as reported, and then you can compare reported and removed questions, so you can see exactly the status whether one you reported actually was removed or not. So it's very helpful if you're dealing with a lot of clients or a lot of locations and are trying to keep track of which ones you reported and which ones got removed. If they don't get removed and you think they violate terms of service, then you have to escalate them to the Google My Business forum. And we take you right there from our dashboard, so you can do multiples very quickly.
Yep.
So go ahead, Don.
Okay. Yep. So just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of that and using it if it applies to you. I mean, I think every business should be at least aware of this. And, if you're managing lots of locations, then you're going to need a tool to do that. So check it out. Let us know if you have any questions. And with that, I wanted to move on to just some other new improvements that we've been making. So hopefully, if you've been a customer for a while, we're always trying to add things to the product based on your suggestions, based on things that are happening in the industry. Google Q&A is a great example of that. We're the first provider with a solution for that, because that's something Mike's been following and researching for quite a while. And he was ready to move as soon as we realized that this is going to go beyond a test at Google. So what I wanted to do is just kind of share with you a few other little things, right? So we just talked about the review widget, talked about Google Q&A, a lot of little changes going too. Like, so much of our time is spent on just little updates and changes and tweaks to make things better. One of the things we recently added is, you may have noticed when you're setting up a new location, we automatically detect your Google profile and set that up for you. We're now doing that with your Facebook business page as well. So we'll automatically detect that. and pre-populate that for you so that you don't have to go and look for it and find it. We're trying to do all these little things that are just kind of nice. Hey, okay, it makes it easy for me to set up a location. So that's kind of our commitment, is we're always trying to make things easier like that.
And for those of you who stopped using our wizard to set up businesses, those of you who are agencies, I would suggest you try it again, because we've done a great job of making it much, much easier and more efficient and effective. So if you're adding one new client a week, for example, it's a really great way to set them up.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. That's the other thing I didn't really have in this slide, is that I added a lot of fit and finish things to the new wizard as well. So we're constantly refining that and making it smoother too. Another change we made is we added, we're continuing to add third-party review sites to our monitoring service. There are over 30 different review sites you can monitor now. We just added U-Haul and Hearing Tracker based on customer requests. You can monitor up to 5 sites in your basic plan and up to 10 sites on Pro. So you can choose which sites those are, but I just want to, we're just always adding as we bump into more requests. We also improved the tap targets for ratings on the NPS score on mobile. So we had some situations where the targets themselves, so like if you kind of look at the button, you can imagine behind that there's like a grid, there's like a box where the app is trying to say, oh, where are they touching, which button? And we've made those, spaced those out, so it's a lot easier to touch the right tap target there. We also, if you notice with the new modes, we have the new brand and color screens. So the buttons now are respecting your brand color, your accent color. You can see that bar along the top. Usually it's a color that you pull out from your logo. And in the past they're always gray. Now they reflect your brand color. So just trying to make the feedback requests very personal to your brand. Another change we made is this one. You may have noticed, if somebody is linking to the review widget or you're trying to go to the top, it used to anchor right here where it says old, right at the first review, which was a little confusing because then the top part of this might be off the screen. Now when you link to this, we anchor at the very top, so you can see the summary panel at the top and everything. And that was just a request. It's a little thing, but a lot of people asked about this and were confused, especially if you're down below and you're going through the pagination, like if you have many, many pages of reviews, which is more and more likely now that you've got third party mixed in with your first party. When you go to the subsequent pages, we'll keep showing the summary widget instead of scrolling down to the first review on that page. So again, a little thing, but a lot of people requested it. We're just trying to, all those sort of fit and finish things. Another thing is we now crawl third party review sites within minutes of adding the site. In the past, it could take up to a day, especially when you're adding a new location. You might have to wait a while. It was a little confusing because people were like, well, wait, I asked to monitor these, but I don't have any reviews yet. Now we will get them all crawled within an hour, and many times a lot faster than that. So that's something that, just a usability thing that we thought was important, and we heard from some of you, so we improved it. Another is in the feedback flow in the request modes. We added a 1-day delay for the positive email review request. There used to be like 4 hours. You could go up to 4 hours, and then it jumped to a week, and people were like, wait, there's nothing in between there. We need like a day. And so we added that in there because a lot of people wanted that granularity. So that's another small change that we added in. A lot of any of you that are using the customer CSV export, we are now adding the campaign ID, so you know where that customer came from. So for example, if you're using a feedback URL and you're adding a campaign tracking to that, then you can keep track of where, which campaign generated this feedback request. And then when you do your export, then you can see it. We just didn't have that column before, so we've added it. Yeah, so lots of little new features. And I just wanted to make sure looked like there were a couple more questions out here, and I don't know if you guys saw.
I think we've dealt with them all.
You did, okay, got it. Yeah, so any questions about those new features, make sure to ask us. We're glad to answer, kind of excited. We've got a lot of other kind of things brewing for you as well. In fact, one thing we wanted to talk about and feature a little bit that we're excited about is we've got a new interface and navigation. and that's going to be changing in March. So wanted to kind of give you guys a preview of this early, because whenever we change something big like navigation, it's like just important that people get a preview of it and understand what's coming. As you've probably noticed in our product, we've been upgrading the screens to a new look and feel, a much more modern, lightweight look, and we're committed to really redoing the interface in a way that's going to be a lot more organized, right? You know, the product has a lot of features, a lot of capabilities, and we're trying to make it so that it's easy to find, that features are discoverable. We did some studies and found that a lot of customers just didn't know about many of the features we had, and so we wanted to make that easier. And so we're really excited about this new UI. You're going to see that, you know, right now all of our menus are on the top. We're shifting over to the left. You're going to be able to access the business dashboard and the customer dashboard, reports and settings. This allows us to have a much more modern and discoverable interface for features. And then in the upper right-hand corner, you'll still see help and then account settings and information about that. So just wanted to give you like a little preview of this, that we are going to be moving the menus. So essentially we're just moving the menus from the top over to the left. And I think it'll be a very welcome change. And all the testing that we've done, people have really liked it. So we just wanted to preview that for you on the call and have you watching out for that. All right, so with that, any questions before we move on? There's one other thing we wanted to talk about here, but any questions about reviews, about the review widget, about Google Q&A, or about any of those new features, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You know, we're gonna have the recording available. You can reach out to us at support@get5stars.com, or you know, anytime, and we'd love to hear your feedback. You guys know that. The other thing we wanted to mention, I'm going to let Mike or Aaron talk about Local U. That's coming up soon. So
we're the wrong date on there, by the way. It's April 12th in Austin. So whoever put April 13th on there, be sure you show up on April 12th. So 2 days in Austin. April 11th is a small business event where we will be covering sort of the basics of local search, which we get about 25% of those attendees are agencies. It's really good for your incoming staff. It's also good to learn about how to speak about these things. So it's great in multiple ways. The 12th is the advanced, which this year, I think there's 10 or maybe 11 speakers coming. David Mim is coming to talk about what does the agency of 2020 look like. Cindy Crum is talking about how to optimize for voice in local search. Ed and Teen Reese are talking about user interface issues and how to improve user engagement with your website. Google will be there with 2 people helping solve problems. Joy Hawkins is going to be talking about Google My Business issues. I'm going to be talking about Google Q&A and the research. Aaron's going to be talking about reputation. Mike Ramsey is going to be talking about agencies. Mary is going to be talking about Google as your new homepage and ways to measure that and think about it. And Joel's going to be sharing some great research about, I can't remember what it's about, but it's original research that should be very enlightening. As you can see there's a code, Get 5 Stars 2018, $50 off. We'd love to see you there. The night before, on the 11th, we have a meet and greet, and so we can all get together and just talk. And it's really, it's just an event that I love putting on every year because it sort of engenders the collegiality that I think is so important for us to all learn. And so I'm hoping to see some of you there.
yep, and those of you who have been, you know, these are always just awesome. There's tons of great information. They're small events, so you have access to the speakers. Definitely worth your time, and Austin's a pretty cool place to hang out too. So definitely check it out. All right. Any last questions before we wrap up? Appreciate you guys spending some time here today with us, and we'd love to hear your questions, so you know, don't be shy. Any last things that we want to talk about, you guys, before we wrap today? Paul says he's been to Local U and it's fantastic. So thanks, Paul.
No, just be on the lookout. Hopefully you guys, update your code if needed. Otherwise, go ahead and explore the new settings with the review widget. We definitely understand that it's a big benefit to display both first and third. We hope that's an option that the majority of you guys use, and helps to continue to bring you new business and enforce more trust with customers that land on your website or your clients' websites.
Mahalo to you too, Paul.
All right, guys, thanks so much for your time today, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. And stay in
Todd had a
touch.
quick question. Where are we going to be posting this? Maybe you could address that.
Afterward, within 2 days, GoToWebinar sends out they send out like a recap, well, a thank you, and that'll have a link to a blog post where we'll put the recording and the presentation in there. So that'll all be coming to you within the next, it'll be within like 1 or 2 days. It'll be really quick. And you shouldn't have to do anything. Because you registered, you'll get that email. Great. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. We'll talk soon. Take care.